little belated, but Happy New Year to everyone at INEOS and, of course, the wider family back home. COVID continues to challenge the world, so we just hope we can be a little bit of a distraction for the best part of the next hour or so and take you away from all that you're experiencing at the moment. This is the second of these type of programs that we're putting on from New Zealand. The idea is to give you a really good behind-the-scenes look at what we're all about here at Team INEOS UK. So we're going to go behind the scenes in the boat shed. We're going to talk flying boats. We're going to also talk and delve deeper into the art of match racing and why being good at it can make all the difference to whether you win or lose a sailing race. And we're going to have lots of questions coming in as well. So keep them coming in live via the iPad and we'll put them to these guys at the end of the programme. So joining me, we have Ben, our skipper and team principal, Gilo, our tactician, and also the man who knows everything about life and the America's Cup and rule racing in 2021, Matt Coolmart. Do you think I went a bit too much with that?
Not everything about life. Everything about life might be over time.
The rule book on life. Full disclosure. There's a weigh-in taking place this morning, which means these two are in a really bad mood.
We're a bit grumpy, yeah.
They are. They're a little bit cranky. In sympathy with them, neither of us have had any breakfast, to be fair.
We haven't yet, have we? But I think the knowledge, knowing that we can, as soon as this is done, is probably what's making them grumpy. So,
also,
sorry, guys.
Around about an hour ago, or maybe an hour and a half ago, I mean, you were in a steaming hot bath. I mean, what does it take to get to the weight required for these weigh-ins, and how brutal are they for an athlete?
Well, I think any sportsman going through weigh-ins, they've all got different techniques, haven't they? I'm sure if you speak to the cycling team or the guys in motorsport, actually Gilo and I were on the bike in our wetsuits about half an hour ago trying to get the weight off. But the reason we do it is because, I used to have a six-pack and guns like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But
You did?
But the grinders, it's all for the grinders. The heavier and more muscle those guys can have, the lighter we've got to be. So we're taking one for the team.
In all seriousness, I just said, why are you wearing this gilet? Because you're going to be absolutely baking throughout the course of this show. It's quite warm here in New Zealand. And Joe suggested that it might be something to do with the Belstaff branding. And actually Ben said, no, I've just got to sweat through this next hour. So if they look nervous, they're not. It's just that they're having to sweat through to make the weight in an hour or so's time. We've just come off the back of 2 practice races, which has been pretty interesting. Everyone's working like absolute stink. How do we feel going into this first round robin, which is taking place on the 15th? Ben?
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously, I think since the last time we had one of these chats, we went through the World Series and we struggled a lot in the lighter winds and have spent the last 2-3 weeks analysing exactly what the issues have been there, across the whole boat, be that below the water and above the water, and we found some solutions to that, not all of it. We've certainly made some big steps forwards, particularly also in the stronger airs. So as we're here now going into the first round robin of the Challenger Series, we feel like we've certainly made some big gains against the Americans and the Italians. We think over 13 knots of wind speed, we should be competitive. We're still probably going to struggle beneath that, but at the same time, we are still making big gains. Every day we're out in the water, we're making big gains, so we just got to keep pushing.
So, Gilo, how crucial have the last 2 days of practice racing been, do you think?
Oh, it's been massively crucial, and I think there's a lot that we've been able to take away from that as a sailing team. Last 2 days, we've had good breeze, and a couple of days ago particularly is pretty similar to the first couple of days of this round robin forecast wise. It's great to get out there, put the boats through at paces, and also really lock in on, really like racing techniques, communications, getting the boat around the course clean, pre-starts, into the nitty gritty of racing, which it's been a long time coming, but we were certainly glad for those couple of days.
We talk a lot about pushing hard in this team, and every team's doing that that's here. Team New Zealand, for them, they've only got these 2 days, or had those 2 days of practice before the Cup proper starts in March. So for them, it was a pretty crucial couple of days. And from what we saw of them on day one and their capsize, which has probably by now gone round the world, just talk us through this and how precarious it is sailing on one of these boats.
Yeah, well, these boats they fly around on two foils, and you see the error that the Kiwis made there was that they let the rudder come out of the water, and at that stage the rudder's actually pulling the back of the boat down. So as soon as that, we call it the elevator, the horizontal, comes out of the water, the boat's straight into an endo, and yeah, it resulted in a pretty hairy capsize for them.
That slightly reminded me of Bermuda when they went and did that against us before. Why is it always against us?
Yeah, I don't know. I had a message from Grant Dalton, who's the CEO over there after that race. He said, I don't know what it is, but you guys keep forcing us into these wipeouts. But yeah, thankfully everyone was all right. That was the main thing. And the boat seemed to stand up pretty well, all things considered. But yeah, as Giles says, these boats are on a knife edge when you're pushing them that hard.
Yeah, which is why it's so vital, of course, to get the time on the water, which is what the team have been trying to do as much as possible. And in order to do that, it means it really puts extreme pressure on the guys in the shed, and it's been a really hectic time for them. So let's just give you a bit of an idea of what they do and their life behind the scenes, because it's busy.
In the America's Cup, most people think the most secretive place in the team bases is upstairs in the design office, but it's not. It's inside the boat shed. Now, this is where the spies want to see. It's where all the top secret tech is. And thanks to INEOS Grenadier, I'm going to show you inside now. There's no better place to start in the boat shed than underneath our AC-75 yacht, our racing boat, Britannia. Every single part of this yacht was built on purpose with the pure aim of trying to win the 36th America's Cup. So that's Britannia, our fantastic race yacht. Let's go meet the boat builders. This is where our boat builders hang out. You can see Kev in the background there, always working away hard. They're a tenacious bunch. There are 17,000 parts in the yacht Britannia. But the work doesn't stop once the boat's built. They're constantly striving, building new parts to help our development cycle to try and make Britannia faster and faster. And our hard-working boat builders haven't only just built the one boat, Britannia, they've also built the first boat previous to that one. And where do we keep that boat? Just up above their heads. Here we have the most innovative team in the shed, the systems team. The guys that make and write the mission-critical software and systems that go into sailing Britannia, and without them we literally could not sail the boat. Let's go see more of the systems guys up on the boat. Now, the systems team are some of the hardest working guys inside INEOS Team UK. They're here from dusk till dawn, but their work is absolutely essential for the performance of the Britannia in this America's Cup. So we've seen the boat builders, we've seen the boat, and we've seen the systems guys. Well, what makes the boat go along? It's the sails, of course. So let's go meet the sail makers. America's Cup sails are unprecedented, unlike anything else seen in yacht racing. The mainsail is 26 metres high. That's the same as 13 Grenadiers parked on top of each other. Now, the sailmaker's work is all about finesse, intricate detail. The sails have to be smooth and the right shape. Last but not least, let's go and meet the riggers, the guys that are responsible for that huge mast, that 26-metre mast that you see in the yacht, and making sure it stays in the air with all the side loads on it from the sails when we're out yacht racing. Now we're in the rigging department, and this is our carbon fibre mast, which has to take 15 tonnes of load from our double skin mainsail, but also has to have perfect aerodynamics to help the boat rip through the water. Not only are they responsible for the mast, but they also have to deal with multiple kilometres of rope which help control the sails. So that was the shed tour here at INEOS Team UK. I Hope you enjoyed seeing inside that and having a bit of an insight into a part of the building that most people never get to go into. Next up is the racing, and I hope you can join us for that too.
Never seen the boat shed so quiet or well behaved. I mean, they were incredibly well behaved whilst you were filming that.
I think the guys are just tired and busy. That's why they're so quiet and they just head down, getting on with it, ignoring what I'm talking about.
let 'em get on
Who's
with
this
it.
guy? Let's just get on with all this mountain of work we've got to do. But they're working really hard. I'm really proud of those guys now.
I mean, Gilo, how much do you rely as a sailing team on those guys? They are working 24/7. They have such a work ethic.
Yeah, they do, and we're utterly dependent upon them. These boats are so complicated. You seem to, I said this in every single America's Cup that I've been involved with. The boats are, the most complicated thing I've ever sailed, and this Cup is no different. And it is a big step on from where it's been before. And they're very hard to keep running, and those guys down there keep the boat running and enable us to get out on the water and practice our bit.
Here comes a more difficult question, Ben. The reason why everyone's working so hard is because last time out in the America's Cup World Series, the Christmas Cup, we didn't cover ourselves in glory. So what was the problem? Have we solved it? And are we in a completely different position going into the Prada Cup than we were going into the America's Cup World Series?
Yeah, look, everyone was massively frustrated by the World Series, particularly the light air performance where we couldn't get up out of the water when our competitors could. And even when we could, we were quite a long way off the pace. So big frustration for everybody around the team, on and off the water. But I can be proud with the way everyone's rallied together to come through, from the guys in the design office trying to work out what some of the solutions are. So we talked about the team in the shed, the engineers, the boat builders, they're really the unsung heroes of the America's Cup. And they've been working around the clock to get these upgrades on the boat for us as sailors to then get out in the water and try and learn the new techniques of how to sail the boat with the upgrades. So, like I said earlier, we've made some big jumps forwards. I don't think we're quite there in the lighter breezes yet. We're a lot better than where we were, but I think we're still slightly off some of the other teams, and that's what we've got to try and work on, as we go through the next couple of days into the first round robin. The forecast for the first round robin at the moment, the last time I checked, is for more sort of medium breezes. So let's hope we get that. But for sure, whatever the wind, we just got to keep developing the boat and getting faster and faster, and that'll be the key to success in the America's Cup.
This boat is super complicated. It doesn't float, it flies. We're going to show you how with Freddie Carr.
We are now in the new age of America's Cup racing. We are not floating, we're flying. The new AC75 racing boats will reach 60 miles an hour with no engine, travelling up to 4 times the speed of the wind. Lift is the same force a plane uses under its wings to take off and maintain flight. We want to foil because pushing a boat through water is harder than through air. So how do we get the boat up in the air and out of the water? We use exactly the same technology as an aircraft wing. Just as an aircraft wing will lift a plane up off the ground, the foils of an America's Cup boat will lift it out of the water. The foils of our America's Cup boat are more accurately called hydrofoils because they work in the water. The secret to both of them is the shape. Aerofoils and hydrofoils use their shape to guide the wind or water around them to generate the lifting force to get the planes or boats in the air. The double-skinned soft wing sail is our engine. The force it generates to move the boat at breakneck speeds is thrust. It works exactly the same way as an aircraft wing. It's just rotated to stand straight up rather than laid down flat. As the wind flows over the sail, it generates thrust in a forward direction. An aircraft needs an engine to push the air over its wings fast enough to lift it off the ground. The wing sail on our America's Cup race boat generates thrust from the natural wind blowing past it. The more the wind blows, the more we can catch to turn into thrust to push the boat forwards. When the boat's going fast enough, the hydrofoils will then be able to create lift to get the boat out of the water. And there you have it, the boat that flies.
Just for your interest as well, we have heaps of videos like that online. If you go to stemcrew.org, we've got a bunch of videos just like that that explain how the boat flies and a whole host of other things that might fascinate you about Britannia. But especially if you're homeschooling, like if you have kids at home that are between, 11 and 14, something like that, then those sort of things may well be much more interesting than the traditional maths and science approach to teaching, and maybe the inspiration of a 75-foot foiling monohull might just do it for them, who knows. But anyway, it's out there, so if you want to have a look, you can. You can also, by the way, check out the Energy Station's AC knot tying challenge. Have any of you done that yet? Done the knot challenge yet? No?
Maybe we
I was
should.
going to do it today.
That's one for later, because we've definitely got some time. That's one for a little later. Let's talk about the foils. Let's talk about flying. Ben, how important are the foils to the success of winning this America's Cup, do you think?
Yeah, there's really three key components. I mean, the whole boat is critical, of course it is, but the three key components to performance are really the hull of the boat, the shape of the boat, what's out of the water, so the rig, the mast and the sails, that gives us the power, and then the foils, which are under the water, and that's really what we're flying the boat on. So it's critical that all three of those key components are right.
In practice,
so these are our foils here. So on the top of the screen we've got wings 3 and 4, and then in the bottom is wings 5 and 6. So 3 and 4. So the key with the foils is really what we call a differential. So we try and create more lift from the outboard wing versus the inboard wing, which gives us more righting moment and should make the boat go faster. And wings 3 and 4, as you can see, the shape is a little bit more complex than 5 and 6. And that's really based around trying to be more efficient in how we create that righting moment. So in reality, we ended up going back to wings 5 and 6. After the Christmas race, we put wings 3 and 4 on, as we were making some modifications to wings 5 and 6. And so getting those wings back in the water, they're certainly a step up from where they were. Our issue was they weren't providing the performance they were designed to, and they're much, much closer to that now. And we've still got to make some tweaks to them to get them right where they should be, 100% of their performance target. So that's a little bit of background into our wing profiles and the decisions made around choice of wings and where we're going from here.
I want to go a little bit deeper. I want you to just explain to us the actual fundamental differences between 3 and 4 and the sisters that are 5 and 6 that you've decided to go for, so that people really, really understand, because it's you can see it superficially, but just sort of give us a bit more.
Yeah, so as I said, wings 3 and 4, as you can see, they're not, the wings aren't straight.
Yeah.
So that's in an effort to try and distribute the lift in a more efficient manner, really, and get more lift from the outboard tip and more righting moment. Actually, in the end, how we've ended up sailing these boats, we end up flying higher, and that tip comes out of the water quite a lot, and therefore wings 5 and 6, which aren't designed to do that so much in terms of piercing out of the water, have ended up being what we think we have more potential from as foils. So like I said, we're not quite there in terms of the performance, or we haven't been, but we think if we can get those foils working as they're designed to, there's more potential in those than in wings 3 and 4.
Okay.
Does that
fine.
make sense?
Yeah. Yes-ish, sort of. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Oh, of course it does. Don't make an angry man even angrier. Gilo, mainsail. Let's talk about the rig and the mast and the sails and all of that, because as Ben just said, that's one of the components that's going to make up how quick this boat is. So we've changed some components there. We've had some upgrades. So just tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, we have. So since the racing in the ACWS, we've had a new mast, a new boom, and actually we've had 2 new mainsails. And I think the key thing with the rig and sails is achieving the correct flying shapes. All our modelling that we do and the designers put together produce flying shapes that we need to achieve on the water, and we weren't able to achieve those flying shapes with the old rig and the old mainsails, and we've had a big step up there, and the flying shapes now that we're getting out of the mainsail particularly are a lot closer to what the computer models would give us ideal shapes. So we're pretty pleased with the gains that we've made in our rig and sails program recently, and we think that's I think that's had a lot of the gains that we've seen over the past few weeks have come from that area.
You're a little bit open about the modifications, but you're still being slightly cagey. So I'm presuming that because this is a development race, there are moments and areas where you really can't talk about, right? Like that, I mean, you're not just being tricky. I mean, you really fundamentally can't talk about it, can you, on the basis that you don't want to give anything away to the opposition? No,
I mean, when you go through the frustration that we've been through, then you don't want to give away the learnings from that to the opposition. I'm sure some of them may have been through some of the issues that we've been through already. I'm pretty sure one team has. So yeah, what you learn about rectifying those issues and getting more performance out of the boat, yeah, we hang on to that incredibly tightly, because that's the secret to success in this game, is developing faster than the opposition. And we all monitor one another. We all have our chase boats out there taking photos and video, analysing each boat every time it goes into the water, each opposition boat, the tiniest of detail to see what they may have changed, and just trying to be the fastest up that development, that highest on the development curve is where we want to be.
Where you're going to win this, boys, is match racing, isn't it? It's being really, really, really good at match racing. It's a bit like a game of chicken, for those of you who don't know what match racing is all about. We're going to explain it now, because Matt's going to take you through the rules of it. And then we'll fire some questions at these guys after about how to get off to the perfect match racing starts.
The America's Cup is all about match racing. 1 versus 1, boat on boat, helmsman versus helmsman. As a rules advisor for INEOS Team UK, I need to be on top of the rules that govern match racing in the America's Cup. And I'm going to show you some of those, plus some of the key principles of what it takes to win match races.
Just looking for a nice solid late to right turn, he will face us.
So, what is match racing? The big difference with match racing compared to what we normally do in yacht racing, or as we call it, fleet racing, is that match racing is just 2 boats on the race course, 1 versus 1. So unlike fleet racing, it's not just about getting around the race course as fast as you can, you just have to get around faster than the other yacht. So sometimes it's all about speed, speed, speed. Sometimes it's about trying to slow the other yacht down. The America's Cup course that you'll see here in Auckland is a windward lure course. That means the boats start, they go upwind to the top mark, they go down. They do this a number of times before they finish back down at the bottom. The whole course is set by boundaries, perimeters that the boats cannot sail outside without getting penalised, which keeps the racing nice and close. But the real key thing that you'll see is there's something called a pre-start. So the boats actually enter a box 2 minutes before the start time, and they can jostle and wrangle against each other in the start box, trying to slow each other down again, maybe put penalties on each other, but to try and get in a perfect position to get a great start, they get off around that race course as fast as they can and faster than the other yacht. Because of the nature of the AC-75 and the huge wing foils precariously sticking out the side of the yachts, the umpires have devised a system that keep the boats clear from each other. And it's called the Keep Clear Border. It's a diamond shape around the yachts, virtual. We can see it in a computer software program, and that's how the umpires see it. Next up, let's talk about some of the key rules. Now, the first one is port starboard. The boat on port has to keep clear of the boat on starboard tack. Starboard tack, that's the wind coming from your right-hand side. Port tack, the wind's coming from your left-hand side. Starboard tack boat has right of way. Let's look at the boundaries, the perimeter of our race course. The boats get penalised if they go outside of these boundaries. It keeps the racing nice and close. Now, what happens if you break one of these rules? You get a penalty. Now, different to most penalties you get in yacht racing, which is a turn, which is pretty slow, we have a penalty system that keeps the racing nice and close. If you receive a penalty from the umpires, you have to get 50 metres behind the other boat. That's 2 boat lengths on these yachts.
Yep, thanks JBR, penalty claims.
Thanks, Richard.
And how do we know if a yacht's got a penalty? On the back post on the yacht, you'll see a red flashing light. That means danger, danger. You've got to get 50 metres behind the other yacht now. One of the key differences with the umpiring that you'll see compared to normal yacht racing, where the umpires are in a boat chasing the yachts, watching the action, the umpires are actually on land in a booth watching a virtual version of the race course. It's a really, really accurate way of being able to umpire these races.
I rather like the subject or the title of Racing Rules Advisor. It's a bit like Ben Williams' Head of Human Performance title. So what does it mean? What do you do on a daily basis?
I guess my key role, well, there's a couple of things going on. Firstly, the rules are always being developed, and that's one of the great things about this set of rules. Is actually, it started in the America's Cup for 2013 for San Francisco, and it's been an evolution since then. And the head umpire, Richard Slater, he's been involved in that process all the way through. But they've been specifically changed for this class of boat. But the great thing about it is they're very sort of pliable to how the teams feel about the rules, and they realise that we know these boats better than they do. So a lot of what's going on at the moment, and even now we're talking about rule changes this week, so we're racing in a couple of days. We might have some rule changes before the start of that.
Wow.
But they work really closely with the teams. They want our feedback on all these proposed changes. So that's one side of it. So I have to coordinate with these guys, what do you think about these changes? But then the second thing, of course, is to try and make sure that these guys understand the rules and the consequences of certain manoeuvres, actions, particularly in the pre-start. And so we get together sort of fairly regularly, and I try and convey that information to these guys.
As you said, you're going to see flashing lights a lot on the back of these boats over the course of the next few weeks. What particular penalties do we think we can really hone in on as ones that we're going to get to see a lot of over the coming weeks?
The really interesting ones, and the ones that are always fun to see, are the boat-on-boat penalties.
Yeah.
So when one boat sort of forces the other one into penalising them, and those ones are always great. And we'll see quite a few of them, I think. I think that the nature of these boats and the way the courses are done and the tight pre-start box, the boats will be close quite a lot, and there is opportunities to force the other guy into fouling you, and then obviously that's a lovely game, because whatever happens from that point on, particularly in the pre-start, because he can foul you right at the beginning, and then whatever happens in the rest of that pre-start, unless he offloads that penalty by putting one on you, he's got to get behind you. So that's a nice little advantage. You're going to start that race with a little 2 boat length lead on him.
You've done for us a couple of videos which just give you a bit more of an idea in depth of a couple of manoeuvres we're going to see which are key to match racing. So let's look first of all at the hook, and then we'll talk about it after.
The hook. Now, the big thing about hooking these boats, the AC75, is you can really park the other boat, and it's a really, really key manoeuvre that you'll see again and again in the America's Cup.
Right, Ben, talk to me about the hook. How many of these are we going to see, particularly from you?
The hook. Well, yeah, I mean, as Cat Flap said, it's a big manoeuvre in the start. If you can, if the other boat is a little bit early and you can come in from behind with more speed and get in and get that overlap to leeward, then you have the rights to take the other boat up into the wind, and you can stop them dead. And as we've seen with these boats, if you stop someone dead and you're still going 30 knots, that's a massive, massive gain. I mean, you could be 400 metres up the upwind leg by the time they get going again. So that's a big one. You want to try and win on the opposition, and you got to defend against. And so for us as sailors out in the water, we're really fighting hard to see if there are any opportunities to get that. But all of these teams are really experienced match racers on all of these boats, so they're all watching out for that. No one's sitting there waiting for it, expecting it to happen. So you've really got to catch someone out to pull that move off.
In the first of the official practice days on Monday, I remember we spoke on the dock for the documentary, and we talked about it, and we said to you, so how are you going to approach pre-starts today? And you were like, I've got to be a bit careful. Don't want to push it. These boats, they're dangerous, and we don't want to jeopardise anything. And then the red mist descended, and what happened? You went for it, because can you help yourself? I mean, is it something that as sailors you actually just fundamentally, you cannot help it? You just, you're pushing to the point of the limit, right?
Yeah, I guess for Gillo and myself and the rest of the sailors, there was probably a fair amount of frustration that came out on that training session with the Kiwis, and we sort of caught them napping a little bit. So competitive instinct got the better of us. But yeah, we kept the boats apart, which was the main thing.
Let's talk about a dial down. Here's Matt with the explanation for that.
The dial down. It's where the starboard tack yacht, who's right of way, is trying to make the port tack yacht tack or jibe out the way so they can go off and get a nice start. But like I said, with those closing speeds, if it looks scary on the TV, imagine how it feels on board the boat when you are reaching towards the other boat at 40 knots yourself and they're coming at you the same speed. Properly scary stuff.
Gilo, talk to us a little more about the dial down and how important it is for you two to have really good communication in that moment.
Well, communication on these boats in general is really, really, really key. The crew's split 50-50 side to side, so we can't see one another when we're sailing. There's we're the other side of the mainsail. But in pre-starts particularly, the way that we run our pre-starts is we very much follow Ben's lead. I'm his offside on the wheel, so I suppose I'm the first link to the rest of the crew and first response to Ben's call as to what's coming next. But yeah, it all starts with the communication. But those dial downs that we're talking about and saw just there are they're the big moments in the pre-starts where you've got two 75-foot yachts that are coming together at 50 miles an hour, and that is a game of chicken, because you're trying to, as the guy who's got to keep out the starboard boat, you're trying to get your bow one side of him, and as the other guy, you're trying to not let him do that. And it's kind of a little bit of a he who dares at that moment.
Yeah, who will give in first?
Oh yeah, someone's always got to give in, because you can't have these boats come together. Otherwise it's a big mess. But yeah, it makes for exciting viewing at least.
What about using the boundary as well? Because that's going to be crucial with manoeuvres.
Now, we talked about the boundaries around the pre-start and how there's a 115-meter zone where a different set of rules kick in. Now, in this video, we can see Ben and the boys did an expert job of using those rules to jibe in front of Emirates Team New Zealand. The Emirates boat then had a really awful manoeuvre as a result. They parked the boat and we were off to the races, and that is the perfect way to start your match race. That's what you use the pre-start for. These guys nailed it, and they had a huge lead starting this race.
Yeah, how much is it about forcing others into making mistakes as well as, racing your own race well?
It's a really good question. I mean, the key to match racing is not being greedy. It's very easy to really go for the jugular and screw yourself up as much as you do your opposition, if not worse. So you've got to be really, really think hard about if you're going to go for a move, what's the likelihood of success? And if it's 50-50, you're probably better off backing off and just trying to get the start that you want, going the way that you want. So those are the trade-offs. It's kind of fine to be aggressive and it's good fun, but you've got to be really careful it doesn't bite you on the backside. So yeah, that's the trick of the game.
Bit of insight into the Ainsley family household. I mean, you look really worried whenever I say something like that. But
yeah, justifiably.
my point being is that I don't know how other sailors work, but certainly from your perspective, I mean, how many times have we watched reruns of reruns? I say we, I mean you, and I'm sort of doing something else on the iPad. But I mean, how much is it about preparation as well, and watching things over and over and over again to really understand opposition as well as your own performance?
Yeah, there's a lot of analysis that goes into it, for sure, and Matt's helping us a lot with that. He's very modest, but he's a world match racing champion in his own right, so he's got a lot of experience.
Same with you, yeah.
So he's got a lot of experience, and so he's helping Gillo and I and the rest of the guys analyse all of these starts, work out, what we can be doing better, what the others are doing better than us perhaps, or what their weaknesses are. So each competitor, we kind of have a file on what their strengths and weaknesses are. And so as we go to each race, we try and work off that. And yeah, analysis of all of those pre-starts, watching the videos backwards. And I know Giles is very sadly doing the same thing back at home night after night. But that's what we've got to do to really make sure we're as prepared as we possibly can be.
I mean, you're not just watching. I mean, you're practicing via the sim as well, right?
Yeah, we do every race day and days off as well. We get on the sim, and we have a setup where Ben and I can go up against one another. We run whatever scenarios we want to run, and Matt's always in there helping us out as well. So yeah, that's been a really good tool of late, and helps us be on top of it when we get on the water.
Shall we explain to everyone how the Prada Cup breaks down over the next few weeks or so? Because it is confusing for people who don't know or who haven't been there before. So for the audience who are unknowing about this, I know the Royal Yacht Squadron mob will know exactly how this is going to pan out, but for everybody else, Matt, just explain to us what we're looking at here. We've obviously got 2 races on the first day, and we've got a round robin stage to obviously get through this time round and then the following week, but just explain how we get to that Prada Cup final.
Yeah, so basically there's 4 round robins. So a round robin where you race each team once. That happens 4 times. So that's where we're on the left there we race. So I guess we have 4 races against both the 2 teams. So that's 8 races in total. The team with the most points, the most wins out of that, they go straight to the final of the Prada Cup. And the other 2 teams have what we're calling the semi-final, and they race off just a match race. Those 2 are just going to do as many races as it takes for the first boat to get to 4 points.
Okay.
And then they join the round robin winner in the final of the Prada Cup. And then, of course, the winner of that then goes on to race in the America's Cup match, the actual big final against the defenders, the Kiwis.
Good job I asked Catflap, because before this show I said to Gino and Ben, and we might have to explain the breakdown of the Prada Cup, and both of them said, don't ask us, we just know we've got to win races. That's all we're taking care of. We just know we've got to win races. Ask Catflap. He's the oracle on these things. Every race day, by the way, an hour and a half after racing, Matt's going to be up here doing a Q&A with some of the sailors that have been on the boat. So that will give you some really good insight into exactly what's been going on during racing that day. And racing during the days between 3 and 5 here in New Zealand, 2 races a day. Sometimes we're in 2, sometimes 1. And those are the race dates for you as they break down in terms of time zones across the world. So we know it's going to be absolutely ridiculous for the UK audience, 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. But don't forget, of course, there will be plenty of repeats. And as I say, Matt's show is going to be on repeat as well on the INEOS Energy Station as soon as you wake up. We're going to take some questions. Let's get some questions in from various people watching this morning. So Mike Nagel, OMP USA, joining us live from the States with everybody in his office, apparently. This is a good one for Ben. Okay, Britannia struggling in the lighter breeze, falling off its foils whilst performing well in the stronger breeze during the World Cup races in December. Without disclosing any competitive information, as we've determined this morning, that's quite hard to do. What improvements, what adjustments have we made to the boat performance across the full range of wind speeds? Why don't we focus on the lighter breeze conversation and just give everyone an idea of, where are the areas for improvement there, and what will we be looking at over the course of the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Mike. Hi to you and your team out in the States. Yeah, the lighter air performance, as we talked about, let's just take the takeoff, for example, where we start at sort of parked at maybe 5 or 6 knots, and we've got to get up to about 17 or 18 knots boat speed to take off. So first of all, we've got to have the power in the sails to generate that force to move forwards. And as Giles said, we've made some big gains with the new rig and a new sail configuration to try and generate more power and more efficiency there. And then once we get going, it's really, the hull shape kicks in. We're not really able at this stage to make any alterations to the hull shape in the time that we've got. But also the foils really critically start to take over, because they're providing the lift or the righting moment to fight against the side force of the rig and the sails, and that's what slowly generates more and more speed to the point that we can take off. So the changes that we've made to the foils certainly have helped us in this regard in getting more efficiency from the foils and from the rig and sails. So our lighter air performance is certainly much better than it was, and as we get up and then start foiling, that range until we get up to over about 28 knots of boat speed and the boat's really ripping. That's also a really critical range. So 18 to 28 knots of boat speed. These boats can get quite stally, quite staggery, and that's also been a key area we've been working on predominantly with the foils to try and get more efficiency. It's kind of a lift over drag kind of trade-off. And again, we've made performance jumps there, but we still think we've got more to come.
Giles, much more importantly, Henny Belton says, what do you think the best on-water snack is? I mean, on a serious note, nutrition is a big part of this. I mean, there's the reason why you're doing weigh-ins this morning is part of that. But, what is it? What do you get given on the boat?
Well, it's Haribo for me, but we don't get given that. Our nutrition is so well controlled. It's all rice cakes and healthy wraps.
Blueberry rice cake.
Blueberry rice cake.
Nice soggy blueberry rice cake.
Just cardboard, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe we should send the address so people can send some Haribo from the UK.
Yeah, we would welcome that. It might take about 8 weeks.
We've got to be
get
careful
it.
here. This is not having to go at Nick, our chef, and his team. They're fantastic.
No, he's marvellous.
This is Ben Williams, our head of human performance.
Yes.
We're having to go at him.
Terrible.
This is
Terrible. Terrible decision maker. Ursula Heath says this. We know from Ben's America's Cup racing history you've had your fair share of testing moments which have brought the team closer together. Subtly put, Ursula. Thanks for that. She says, what have the last few weeks been like in terms of morale following the challenges of racing at the end of last year? This is a good question because we're about to head into the fundamentals of the America's Cup and the business end of this. We've had a really rough ride in the lead up to this. But could it have been perfect timing to create this siege mentality? What do you think?
Well, no, we'd rather be winning lots of races. But yeah, thanks for that observation, Ursula. Yeah, I mean, it has been a tough time. But like I said earlier, the team, I couldn't be prouder of the way the team's reacted to these issues that we've had, and everyone's really dug in deep. In these situations, you either sort of stick your head in the sand and hope it all goes away, or you try and work out the issues and you come back fighting, and that's definitely the way the team has responded. And we've made a lot of changes to the boat. We've still got more to go, but the sailing team are absolutely up for the fight, and I think realise if we're going to win some of these races, we're going to have to really stick it to these other teams, and the guys are up for that.
The good news is we've got a Formula One team involved in this campaign as well with Mercedes F1. Tom Crotty asks, how important have they been in the last couple of weeks in trying to resolve the issues from the World Series?
Oh, they've been fantastic.
Yeah.
We started working with Mercedes GP a couple of years ago and their Applied Sciences division, or Technologies division, and they've helped us in a number of key areas with the performance of the boat, with the analysis, certainly with the manufacturing of the foils. We talk a lot about the foils, incredibly complex manufacturing process, which frankly I don't think we would have made it to the start line with those foils without their help and assistance. It was that complex. So, yeah, and still now helping us with some of these issues we've been having. We've been on the phone, on conference calls with those guys pretty much every other day through these last couple of weeks, and helping us with some analysis, kind of peer review. They've got so much experience, and it's just great for Nick, our lead designer, and his guys, and the rest of us involved with that discussion to get their experience of managing these kind of frustrating situations, but also trying to make the right decisions under a lot of pressure.
Jamie Sheldon asked this one of the Royal Yacht Squadron. If you infringe a rule in part 2, Matt, this is going to have to be for you, before the start, can you take the penalty before the start? And what is the penalty for infringing a rule in part 2? Can we just debunk some of that question to begin with and say, is this question asking what happens if a penalty occurs before the start? Is that the question?
Yes, well, part 2 is also a key thing there. That's a boat-on-boat penalty, like the ones we talked about. That's when you've infringed the other yacht.
Yeah.
So you can take it as soon as the starting signal goes. You can't do it before that, but it is literally get two boat lengths behind the other boat, that 50 metres, as soon as the starting signal goes. You can get that done. You have to do it immediately. You have to be seen to slow what you call your VMG, but slow your speed immediately. Get that 50 metres behind the other yacht, and then you can get going again.
Okay, Kyle Myerson says this, Gilo, maybe you can get this one. What is the day-to-day routine right now leading up to the Pride Cup? I mean, what is a sailor's routine now in the lead up to competition? Because you've been training really, really hard physically, but when does that slightly switch down so that the focus is entirely on performance in racing?
Well, for the grinders, they're certainly on a tapering program now. They've had a few really big days with the last few days of racing that we've been doing. Today's not a sailing day for us, so we're into a lot of reviews. We've got a lot of debriefs to go through, a lot of data to analyse. We'll go through all the racing that we've done as a sailing group. The guys in the shed are kind of finessing the boat, making the foils nice and sharp. That's kind of it. We're into the final prep, and racing on Friday is very, very close now.
Your weigh-in starts in about, half an hour or so. Freddie Carr is asking if any of you want to buy any kilos. I mean, is that a thing?
He's a cheeky bugger, seriously. He's the last person in this world who should be offloading kilos. Unbelievable.
He's got plenty though, hasn't he? He's got
Here we
plenty
are,
to
sweating away on the bike with the wetsuits on.
She's got plenty to sell.
One final question I just want to ask from Chris Cecil-Wright, who says, congratulations on getting your game together under such pressure. Are there any aspects of the design of Britannia? This is a good question and doesn't get asked enough, that you feel are better than your competitors. Is there anything you've got in the tank that you think, other than, of course, the sailing team?
I actually think our rig and sail program now, in the changes that we made, is right up there. I think the Kiwis have got a great rig and sail program. I think ours is pretty good. The hull of the boat is, once the boat is properly out of the water and ripping, I think in terms of modelling, certainly is a good hull shape. It's a bit of a struggle when it's in the water, but when we get out of the water and get ripping, it's going well. So those are probably the key areas, and then also the systems. There's a lot going on the systems, how we can control the boat. And as Giles said earlier, our systems team they've been working incredibly hard, and trying to get that reliability in the systems is absolutely key. There's these boats break down pretty easily, so getting through these races without a breakdown will be absolutely key.
It's also clear that we need decent conditions for the Prada Cup this weekend for the first of the round robins. Do we have them? Have we got an outside forecast which tells us that things are looking good, Gilo?
Yeah, the long range forecast at the moment, touch wood, is looking pretty promising. Hopefully it hangs in there. I think at the moment Friday's around about the 15 knot mark, which would be nice, and the direction will set it up for course C racing, so stadium racing. Perfect first day of that round robin for sure.
On the first of these shows, we managed to get through a ton of questions with Cat Flap afterwards, which we'll endeavour to do again. We've got hundreds of them this time round, so we'll get through a lot of them. Your racing rules advisory position must take second place right now to a bunch of questions that are coming through.
The questions are good. Keep them coming.
Love a question on an iPad. Thank you to everybody from INEOS and the wider family, of course, for watching this morning and joining us. You can check out INEOS teamuk.com on race days. You can find out where and how to watch absolutely everything there. Jim, John and Andy, I know you're watching and listening intently. Thank you for the continued support. No one said it was going to be easy. It is a challenge of a lifetime, but we really hope you're enjoying the ride, because it has been quite a ride so far, and it promises to be even more of one to come. So thank you so much for the support, and enjoy the racing.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi guys, I'm just about to cycle around a tropical island in rather stormy weather, so I'm probably not going to look like this in 2 or 3 hours. Just a quick message to wish you all good luck in the forthcoming race. I hope we get to the start line with a quick boat, and Ben and team, give it all you've got when we get to the start line, and good luck to you all. Best of British.
Hi guys, I just wanted to send a short message to all of you at INEOS Team UK to wish you a safe and successful America's Cup. I'll be following your progress in New Zealand with my fingers crossed, and look forward to seeing you back on dry land. Take care and good luck.
Well guys, as you can see, we are mid-Pacific, heading towards Auckland, about 3 days out as we stand. I'm looking forward to seeing land again. It's certainly going to be an enormous challenge. First of all, to win the Prada Cup, beat the other challengers, and then of course to move on from that to the America's Cup and wrestle that from the Kiwis. But I'm sure you're all up for it, guys. So Ben, Grant, and the entire team, good luck from the Curry family. We're very much looking forward to joining you to witness this really historic event.
Good luck to everyone from INEOS Team UK as you get the America's Cup action underway. We'll be cheering for you with these big arms. Everyone here at INEOS Grenadiers is thinking of you.
Best of luck to INEOS Team UK in the upcoming America's Cup. We're right behind you here at INEOS Grenadiers. Bring it home.
We're really looking forward to the races in the next week or so. It's getting quite exciting now.
Hi guys, all the best. Go, go, go.
I want to take this opportunity to wish Team INEOS UK all the very best as they prepare for their 6th American Cup.
I know from my experience that the preparations leading up to a race can be just as important as the race itself. I can only imagine the amount of training and late nights that have got you ready to race, and I therefore wanted to send you all my best wishes for a safe and successful race out in New Zealand. Good luck.
Give it all you can and go for it.
Tout le GC c'est derrière vous, on va aussi sur l'eau de la Nouvelle-Zélande. Come on guys, good luck.
We are in Nice, but we're gonna follow your results in New Zealand. All the best.
Good luck everyone. We'll be following you guys.
Go INEOS!
Hi, Ben Grant and the team. Just a quick note from the UK saying we're all cheering you on. Everyone from INEOS is behind you, and of course the UK. And hopefully I'll see you out there in a few weeks. Good luck.
Obviously, just wish you all the very, very best, and Grant and all the team. We're all rooting for you.
Wishing you all the best for the America's Cup from everyone at Salt's End.
Remember guys, there is no second to lose. We want to see you rock the boat and smoke on the water.
On behalf of everyone involved at the 1851 Trust, we're sending you our very best wishes. We know you can do it. Bring the cup home.
Best of luck for next week. We're all rooting for you and see you on the other side.
The very best of luck and let's bring it home.
Viel Glück aus Deutschland.
Toute l'équipe d'Innovin Belgique souhaite bon vent à l'équipage du Team INEOS UK dans sa quête de la Coupe de l'América. Come on guys!
Bringing all the complexity together, being first at the finish line. All the best.
To Team UK, let the win be your best friend and take the trophy home, guys.
Good luck ahead of the start of the race. You've got a massive spot back here in the UK, and you know what the plan is, bring the cup home.
We're absolutely behind you, and we're getting very excited as we get to the business end of the campaign at the start of the round robins and the Prada Cup. There are a lot of the INEOS family around the world who are really fired up when they see you in full flight, and we're with you all the way. So good luck and fair winds.